And welcome to From the Mezzanine. We're still in the wilderness of January. It's cold out there. And what else can we do but, just stay at home and just stream shit? Am I not right, my good friend Matt?
Oh yeah, yeah. We're kind of in the doldrums of the movie season now, but there's still a lot of good stuff out there.
For sure. And there's a lot of catch up to be had because God knows I didn't see half of what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
At the close of 2021, but there's definitely a lot going on. Like a lot of things happening as we're speaking. We lost the Golden Globes this year. Rest in peace. But
yeah,
so it's just the fact that we don't have Ricky Gervais torching everyone, from the podium. We don't have Tom Hanks getting wine drunk, with rubbing elbows next to Scorsese or something like that. Instead, we just get a press conference, basically, that no one is at, and there's just lots of Zoom calls.
Yeah. No press, no presenters, no celebrities. No, nothing.
That is just so very sad. I don't know what to do with that information. But who has been the big winner thus far that we have? It's mostly acting at this point.
Yeah, well, right now, just literally minutes ago, Jeremy Strong won for Succession. Sarah Snook did. Kate Winslet for Mayor of Easttown. None of the really big movie stuff has been done yet. But yeah, it's very interesting how they're doing it. They're literally just live tweeting it, and then a bunch of news outlets are also updating their sites as we go. But it's I don't know. It's kind of a sign of the times. What do you think this means for the Globes?
I think unless they get their shit together and they find a way to legitimize themselves, on a social credit level like the Oscars have, they don't really stand a chance of surviving anyway, just with the political and ideological climate of Hollywood right now and how tribal that part of our culture is. And they have a European, film press too white problem. Like how the Oscars were too white. I've heard that complaint a lot, and a lot of people calling to delegitimize them on that basis. And the fact that they don't seem to give enough Globes to the right kind of people. But if they're going to exist next year, they actually need to hold an event. They need to work really hard to make the right people happy. And make
it 2 hours.
Make it really short.
Yeah, 2 hours max. No 3 hours.
The party can go on behind the scenes. They can still do the red carpet nonsense ahead of time, but keep it on a clip. I know you're trying to sell ad space, but really this is about creating internet moments. We want cultural relevancy, not just another yawn-inducing way to spend an evening when you could be doing anything else, literally. Which is probably why they just said, screw it, we're not even going to try. We're not even going to bother.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of it. And then, it's just there's the corruption thing too, with, there's a lot of interesting articles coming out recently about how, the studios kind of feel like they have to wine and dine the people in the Hollywood foreign press.
Yeah.
Do you remember that show Emily in Paris from 2 or 3 years ago?
Well,
you remember that?
What the fuck is that thing? I don't even really know what it is. I bypass it every time it's shown to me.
It's just this shitty Netflix show that got nominated for a bunch of stuff because it was found out that the Netflix flew a bunch of the Hollywood foreign press out to France and wined and dined them in Paris.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, that actually happened, and that's the only reason it was nominated, because that show wasn't nominated for anything else anywhere else other than the Globes, and it was solely because they they're corrupt and
the right people got greased.
yeah, pretty much. So, and then the other part of it is just kind of the declining relevancy, and nobody cares about these things anymore. I think their views went from 2019 to 2020. It went from 20 to 10 million, which is like literally a 50% drop. So
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So here's a question for
ahead.
you. Are they done like making a distinction between comedies and musicals and dramas?
No, it's so they put comedy and musicals in one category and then dramas in the other.
Because I see a best supporting role in any motion picture award, in the acting categories. But like the best picture category is differentiated. Definitely.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and best actress in a musical or comedy. Oh, okay. So they didn't differentiate on the supporting actor level, but they did on the lead actor level. Yeah. Golly, this is awfully complicated, which was also partially the problem with how they do business, because there's such a blend of TV and movies.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what made it kind of cool. It was this middle ground between the Emmys and the Oscars. Mm-hmm. In terms of star power and in general, like the kinds of things that were covered. And it did used to be kind of meaningful. Like it was like when Kyle Chandler went on his run, I don't even think he won the Golden Globe that year. It was just the Emmy. And it was a big shock that he won the Emmy. Because
was it for Friday Night Lights?
Friday Night Lights, yeah. Because it was like, finally, Coach got his Emmy. Because everybody else was just giving John Hamm these legacy awards that year, I'm pretty sure. Or, I forget who it was that he beat out that it was quite shocking. Maybe it was it Bryan Cranston? Maybe it was Bryan Cranston.
It probably was, yeah. I think they were kind of ending around the same time.
Yeah.
But
well, besides the point. I feel kind of sad about it, but then again, I don't because I haven't been a person to actually watch these events anymore. For like 10 years ago, I definitely was.
Oh yeah.
And that's definitely who I was 10 years ago. But
same, yeah.
it has nothing for me now, and I don't really care who wins, because like it's not the awards that really matter ultimately, and it never will be. That was probably a little harsh of me, but it's true.
At this point, no.
Yeah.
And there's kind of there's actually kind of like a part 2 to this story. I wanted to get your thoughts on this, because I think these two stories kind of go hand in hand. So over at slashfilm.com, they published an article that was titled, "This year's big Oscar contenders have hardly made a dent in the box office."
Oh, yeah.
And what they did was they took 12 of the films that are kind of most understood to be this year's Oscar frontrunners and kind of analyzed their box office stats. And what they found out was the only movie that was successful in any way, shape, or form was Dune. And this kind of leads to an interesting question of like, how do people like in the year 2021, 2022 see Oscar films in like a theatrical sense? Like do people even see them as theatrical movies anymore, or do they see them sort of as streaming fodder?
And I guess that is the question. When I think like the trend that happened was you even had Martin Scorsese making his Oscar fodder with a streaming platform versus a studio, because he wanted director's cut, he wanted $200 million, and he wanted all the bells and whistles, and they were the people willing to give it to people like him, and those were the kinds of, and they were going after the really skilled directors. They wanted Alfonso Cuarón movies, that kind of thing was happening, and I think they realized that there's a big audience for being able to see these prestige films at this time of year, on like while you're gathered at home in front of your home theater. There's a market for that, and there's value in having a platform that delivers that movie, like Hulu had the last one, and Netflix has had quite a few of them here and there, along with like Amazon with Manchester by the Sea that won a few Oscars, I believe did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and you see that like Don't Look Up is definitely like I know it was in theaters, but I'm glad I didn't see it in one.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
and when you make a movie available just because you have a subscription, you don't like pull a Disney and throw $30 in front of it. You just give it to people. They will find a reason to not go to the movie theater and just watch it at home. Dune certainly gave people a reason to go to a theater. It got my ass to a theater finally. And you're just not going to see that with movies that aren't tent poles, that don't have a draw, and that's franchise films. Dune, unfortunately, is not an art film. It's a franchise film. That's why it was successful. And I guess that's my take on what the article was kind of exploring. Like that.
Yeah.
That's the factor at play, at any rate.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of people who are kind of trying to pin it on the pandemic, but I don't think that theory quite works, because then you'd have to explain the success of Spider-Man and like Venom and stuff this year.
Yeah,
so
the popcorn is the draw. The popcorn is what gets it's the blood and circuses, basically.
Yep.
And high art and fancy films are not going to draw in the masses. It's just always how it's been, and if people aren't even going to like what like used to be reliable genres like horror or comedies, or like like our rom-coms are the deadest genre in existence, are they not?
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time you heard of a rom-com making over like $100 million? Like, I guess maybe Crazy Rich Asians. That's the last thing I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of content isn't really working for people anyway. Like, that Sex and the City show completely tanked, just like those movies did. And yeah, I don't know. It's not just the pandemic. It's it's where the audience for your content is more likely to want to consume it. And and the people who are going to, and like this is kind of diving into culture war bullshit, but the people more likely to be concerned about being out in crowds are the same people who are going to watch Don't Look Up at home. And that's why movies like that aren't going to make a heck of a lot of money in a theater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out, with how this has been like the quietest awards season ever. And
yeah, that is very true.
It's very strange. So we'll see how everything pans out.
And in talking about, having things panning out, we're coming upon the end of the first season of what may be the best new series out there. Yellowjackets finally are having their Doom coming tonight. I was able to sneak a peek at it this morning very early while I was working on the graphics for the show. And good golly, Miss Molly, this thing is ridiculous. I'm going to do my best to not spoil a goddamn thing because it's too wonderful. But Matt has a couple questions that he kind of has, or at least wants to explore, and I guess I will very carefully address them.
Well, I guess I just want to know, because I vaguely know what happens in tonight's episode, but I think there's questions that we're not going to get answered by the end of this season. And we know that. We know that for sure. And so I guess I kind of just want to know if your theories, if you have any, and then I've got some too.
Yeah. I
guess a good place to start is who are the cannibals and who is the girl who dies in the first episode?
I've had my theory from the beginning. And, based on what I have seen, I think it's pretty obvious who is who and what is what. Just, unless unless Doomcoming itself is a red herring.
Okay.
I think they make it very clear who is what and what is who. You know, if that makes any sense. It's like they obviously don't go all the way to confirming it, but the events of the episode make certain theories hold more water than others. Okay. And yeah.
Well, I think I would say, I think she's been dubbed the Antler Queen at this point.
Oh, yes.
I would say it's, in my estimation, it's probably Lottie.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they telegraph that pretty quick. And we're going to, I guess, I don't know. We're not going to go into too much detail, but they make it very clear that she was taking some kind of medication. She ran out of it, early in the season. And she has started tuning into some kind of thought form that exists in the forest. That's like as David Lynchian as I can describe it, because it's just like she is carrying Bob. Bob is in all of them, like that kind of a thing. Yeah,
I've heard people speculate that the sort of mass hysteria that everyone is experiencing, or like the weird supernatural elements of the show, are either exactly that. They're either like a mass hysteria or like a Wendigo like creature.
Yeah, there's been lots of like Wendigo psychosis, theorizing. I lurk on the Yellowjackets subreddit because those people are way too intense about this show. They go a little too crazy. But there was lots of pearl clutching about everyone talking about Thais's like dissociative identity disorder, and whether or not it was right to diagnose any of these girls with anything because we don't have all the information, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's tough to say because the episode really does a lot of work towards answering a lot of these questions, or at least giving you a through line to know exactly where the show is going. Which is like, how do we the show Station 11 drove into my head what logistics means. So it's like the path to there. It's like, how do you get there? Like that kind of thing. That'll be the mystery box that gets opened, is how we get to where we know we're going. Because the episode, doom. It's like you're doomed. It's like it's a certainty. You're fucked, and they all are feeling that certainty of being fucked at this point in the show. At least like not only in the flashback but in the present as well. It's like this is desperation times basically, and so who becomes a cannibal? I think it's pretty easy to guess who becomes a cannibal and who doesn't by the end of this episode. That's. And like before the show, I compared it to, the 9th episode, the penultimate episode of other premiere shows like the HBO series is Game of Thrones and The Wire, where they would just make a point of having their best writer and best director working on the second to last episode to just really fuck the audience with a knife before sending them on their way to the finale, and this doesn't quite take it all the way there. So like they pull some punches, but they really, really make you think that something's going to happen. Something's going to go down and shit's going to pop off now. And it's like, does it or doesn't it? Like that's the question. But very satisfying episode, I guess is all I want to say. Spoiler free, like really satisfying. Elevated the show back up to where the first 2 episodes took it. And now the question is, well, what next? What's the real gut punch going to be? Sure.
Yeah, I guess just to kind of put a cap on it, my sort of top level thoughts on the show, I don't think we're going to get these answers anytime soon, but as far as like the wilderness and people coming home, and then, there's all that stuff with what's her name? The girl who has the Shauna's best friend. What is her name again? The one who's dead.
Jackie. Yeah, with the creepy parents.
Yeah, and like I'm sure you've seen like the theories about her journal and how she has like movies from like 1999 in there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what the interplay on Reddit is all about. It's like you have different
Okay.
camps. It's like, is Avery guilty or is he not? Like about like there's weird factions that spring up on these places.
Because
But
I think what I think is going to happen is I think we're going to a place where, because I don't think that's just like a continuity error, the
yeah,
movies from like
it's way
1999.
way too deliberate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think where we're leading is either a place where some of the girls got rescued from the wilderness and some of them stayed behind,
yeah,
or all the girls got rescued and then some of them decided to go back into the wilderness.
yeah. Because that is kind of what is still ambiguous. Is
Yeah.
if the people sending the postcards and doing the blackmailing, are they the same person?
Okay.
That's
Sure.
unclear. Yeah, like that is the thing that is kind of unclear still. Like, and maybe you could just presuppose that, well, when one gets answered, the other is answered as well, but it still seemed ambiguous to me whether or not there were still more parties at play, because somebody still killed Travis.
Yeah.
We know that, so somebody did that, and it's really unclear who did that. Like the blackmailer is not that person, and
Okay.
so there's got to be some other person out there fucking with him. Basically, there's something else going on, unless Travis did kill himself. I don't know. Yeah, this show could go a bunch of different ways, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Very excited.
yeah. I'm like between it and Station 11, they're very different experiences. Those two shows, but they're ending at the same time next week, and both of them had very satisfying penultimate episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
But what I'm really curious to hear is your thoughts about one of the more divisive films that's currently available right now, based on real events that haven't happened yet. We explore the Armageddon scenario, not from Michael Bay's capable hands, but from Adam McKay, and results are mixed. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, what was your general takeaway from this movie when you were through with it?
Oh God, I did not like it. I I okay, this is what this movie felt like to me. So you know how there's like certain SNL sketches throughout time that have been like recurring, like Debbie Downer or like Stefan and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this movie to me felt like if you took a reoccurring SNL sketch and you took all of the sketches from throughout the years and crammed them into one like movie, and then you played that back, because I just found it to be very like disjointed and like just kind of a loose collection of scenes that were eventually leading to something.
Yeah.
But and I don't know, it wasn't funny. And I know it was like a satire, so it's not supposed to be like belly laugh funny, but I didn't find it really all that funny in general. And oh God, Jonah Hill was in a completely different movie.
He was the worst thing about this thing. He was the boil on top of the wart on the ass that was this movie.
He was like literally in like Superbad, and everybody else was in like a
Oscar
serious
movie. Yeah,
Oscar movie.
They were given their best, and if that was his best, I feel bad.
Yeah.
He was terrible.
He was
but
bad.
Yeah, like there was, like you say, very disjointed. This movie really couldn't sustain itself because it was like bad Twitter improv with everyone's favorite Twitter wonk. David Sirota co-wrote this with him, and he is the high priest of like alt left is the only way to describe him. He's just
Okay.
Bernie Sanders screenwriter. And he literally called critics of this movie shit libs on Twitter. That's the guy who wrote this thing. And it becomes very obvious as it goes along and on and on and on. It's just he's yes-anding himself into oblivion. Coming up with all these different ways for how corruption could, undermine our best efforts to save ourselves from something that is supposed to be fairly obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
And
just it was overly long and like
way
too
too
many
long.
characters and like it was so stuffed with people and things that they wanted to say.
Like,
And
what was the
like
point
what the
of Ron
fuck.
Perlman's character?
Yeah, Ron Perlman and even like Ariana Grande and Kid Cudi. That was so weird.
They
And
gave
like,
them those speaking parts so they'd record the end credit music.
oh god.
Basically, is what I'm assuming.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. And then like the ending. So like, I mean, the ending was like, okay, I guess we're really gonna do this. But then I didn't care because I hated. I mean, they tried to dollop on all the seriousness at the very end. They tried to turn it into like a drama, sad drama at the end. But I don't give a shit about any of these characters. And then they didn't even have the balls to stick with it because they had to have that dumb like after credits scene.
Oh yeah, like the cosmos and then arriving at that planet, so we could see Meryl Streep's tramp stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they didn't even have the balls to end it on that downer note, you know.
Yeah, they had to give us a laugh that wasn't. Oh yeah, and that stupid scene with Jonah Hill when he survives. He's the last man on Earth. Like, what are they gonna give him a sequel? Like, what's the point of that? Like, it's so this. Yeah, a bulk of this movie was unnecessary. I will admit that the opening thrust worked really good for me, right up until it just screeches to a halt so we can meet Mark Rylance and his weird, character. Like, I hated his character. Like, his affect was so annoying. And the role that his character played in the movie was just so offensive to me because he was the yes and. Every time something seemed clear and like, okay, we're getting the kind of movie that, you could expect, things just go wrong because this guy wants a different outcome. Mm-hmm. And he's able to get it at the snap of a finger. And I guess that, is an astute piece of satirical commentary. But it didn't make for a good movie. It didn't make for an enjoyable experience.
Exactly.
Or even an insightful one. And that ultimately is its biggest failing, because if you're trying to be as smart as these guys clearly think they are, the men writing it and and directing it, I would just expect a better result. Like, this was not the Doctor Strangelove of climate change or whatever they thought this was going to be.
I've been hearing that quote going around, and it just makes me die inside every time I hear it.
Which quote?
The people comparing it to Doctor Strangelove. Like,
they are? Oh my god.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I did not know
that. There's people out there saying this is the Doctor Strangelove of our generation. It's like
it wants to be that, maybe. Like, you could say that, but they didn't succeed. Like, they didn't have any fun performances or like any character that was, even interesting. Ultimately, they all get really boring and, predictable. And like the one good moment that I did enjoy, or at least the arc that I enjoyed, was the specific moment from where DiCaprio's character is completely cut down and destroyed by Mark Rylance's, where he's like, my algorithm predicts you'll die alone. Oh yeah. And he penguins away, and then he just makes it his whole purpose from that moment on not to die alone, and he does it. And that is kind of, beautiful, I guess. But Jesus Christ, it was a slog to get there. And I could have done without quite a bit of it.
Yeah, for sure.
But you were able to check out something on BritBox. Is this?
Yeah.
And I hope I got the right thing. This is starring Sean Bean and Stephen Graham.
Yeah. This is so strange. Like, I've never heard of this show before last week, and it's a BritBox original, which is like a very like obscure streaming service that has a bunch of British shows. But this is Time, and it is a 3-episode miniseries, literally 3 50-minute episodes.
Fuck yeah.
And it Sean Bean plays a 60-year-old school teacher who goes to prison for the first time in his life because He drinks and drives and then kills somebody with his car. And I really, really like this show. It reminded me a lot of The Night Of from HBO. Do you remember that show?
I do, yes.
Yeah. Very, very similar, where it's kind of it's a prison drama where you're kind of learning the ins and outs of like British prison and just kind of the everyday life and the rules that get imposed on the prisoners by the guards, and then also just like on themselves from themselves.
Yes.
Kind of the prison like way of life. And Stephen Graham plays a guard at the prison who his son is at another prison doing time, and the inmates find that out, and they basically threaten Stephen Graham's son's life unless he starts smuggling drugs into the prison.
I see. Okay.
And it's pretty great. I mean, there's no fat on this thing. It's 3 50-minute episodes, no fat. It's constantly moving. It's going from one thing to the next, and there's no filler. It's
good. Yeah, and the BBC does do that. They make some really cool, like two-handers, or like a 3-episode like limited thing, where it's basically just a really long movie that's just broken up. It's like watching The Hateful Eight on Netflix in its extended form. Have you done that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
it's a lot like
the 4
that.
parts.
They like the BBC made this fucking awesome 2-episode story about this lady whose job it was to be the adult advocate for the serial killer West, like Rosemary, his wife. He and his wife like murdered a bunch of women and their own children and buried them in their backyard and all over England. Fred and Rosemary West.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of thing where it's like it is what it is. There's no fat to it. They just give you raw good shit, either a good story or good performances, and I wish that we did more things like that over here, because it is something that they exclusively do. It's a lot like doing a play on TV in two parts. It's very classic BBC programming, and I appreciate it a lot. So I'm gonna check this out because I get BritBox with my AMC subscription.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, definitely. It was very, very good, and the reason why I even heard about it was because it had shown up on a bunch of people's best of 2021 lists.
Okay,
and so that's kind of where I heard about it, and it definitely deserves that title. So
right on, dude. Right on. Yeah. The other big release, like over the last week and like this week and the week before, was the arrival of whatever the Book of Boba Fett is. And I've only seen the first episode of this, so we have 2 so far. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And it is just Sand Gangster, the series, and I'm fucking here for it. It's also it literally lets us know how he survived the Sarlacc pit, Boba Fett, after the end of Return of the Jedi, but it explains how he lost his armor. And presumably will take us all the way up to the moment that he appears in the 2nd season of The Mandalorian. But what was your impression and takeaway from what the first 2 episodes had to offer?
Yeah, I really liked it. First episode's a little slow, but second episode was great. It kind of focuses on him living out in the desert with the Tusken Raiders. And that's really cool because it actually kind of gives the Tusken Raiders sort of like a culture, and it gives them sort of, just more character depth than they ever had in the original series. And it's really cool. The second episode is kind of like a train heist episode where him and the Tusken Raiders try to disable and then steal a bunch of water off this train that goes right through the desert. So,
water heist. So yeah, it's just another. So it's basically Boba Fett joining the Fremen. Because of all because this is Star Wars is Dune. I hope all you nerds know that. But
Yeah.
definitely excited to have this back. I just have to hop on that second episode
Yeah,
probably
it
before
was
I go to bed tonight.
it was very good, and I'm really I'm kind of in awe that it even exists in the first place, because we're just so lucky to be living in sort of a time where we get just more of Boba Fett, because people literally liked the character based solely on like three scenes with very little dialogue, just because he looked badass from the old movies. And it's nice to kind of have a reason other than people's stupid head canon to actually
Yeah,
like this character,
and they're giving that to us. Like when I saw Robert Rodriguez's name pop up at the end of the first episode, I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's why that fucking works so good," because
Mm-hmm.
he is a very capable director for action on television.
Yep.
Like everything he did in his whole career with his digital cinematography, his run and gun style, he was built for just being a man for hire for prestige shit like this. Because who could do it better? I can't think of very few. And he makes it very tactile and real. And yeah, he makes the Sand people fucking work. And you
Yeah.
understand them. Like when they're just standing there and they got those pods that they're like digging out of the sand, and they're just like like they're just putting them up to their faces and drinking it somehow. But you don't care that it's kind of hokey. At least I didn't. It worked. It worked a lot more for me than I almost expected it to. Because when Mandalorian season 2 ended and they were like, to return in the Book of Boba Fett, my eyes rolled, because
Okay.
I didn't like I Boba Fett's awesome. I agree, but like I just wasn't sure what they were gonna give me to care, and
Mm-hmm.
they did that. Like everything that he's doing with the Sand People, and all of the machinations going on, in the city while he's trying to take control over Jabba's little fiefdom.
Mm-hmm.
It works, and it's good, effective show don't tell storytelling, and it's Disney Star Wars content that doesn't suck, so I have to
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
And the other thing that I dived back into, because I didn't realize they were doing it like this, but American Horror Story did a double season, where it
Okay.
was like they called it the double feature. So the first season was Red Tide, which was that really lame vampire show that came out literally at the same time as Midnight Mass.
Okay.
Exploring island community in New England where there's vampires for some reason. And it just kind of it sucked. I didn't like it. It was just edgy for edgy's sake, and it just didn't give me anything interesting. But I was listening to last podcast on the left at work, and I was going through their Aliens playlist, and I listened to like something about the Dulce Air Force Base and Valiant Thor, the alien that was in the Eisenhower administration. And then I find out, oh, that's basically what the second part of Double Feature is about. And Death Valley has a black and white sequence and a present day sequence. The present day sequence is hot trash and shouldn't exist. But the Eisenhower sequence, where Neil McDonough is Eisenhower and Sarah Paulson is his wife Mamie, and they're just caught up in the harsh reality of this like truce he had to make with these aliens who can just blow people's heads off, and just with magic, and we're basically like, no, Mr. President, you listen to us. You're going to give us 5,000 humans every year for us to harvest and impregnate and try and make a hybrid version of us, because we are a dying race. And my mind just melted, because I was like, that they actually did it. They went and did like a genuinely batshit insane conspiracy theory, and they gave it life in a style only they can do, and it worked, and it was convincing, and I really liked it. But the present day sequence is just terrible. Like, you literally have characters talking about how like their big sad concern is the fact that can't be with the person that they love because they have this weird condition where their semen like burns them like acid, which is a real
What?
thing. Yeah, like you
Really?
could be allergic to a specific person's semen
Okay.
as a woman. And that was like her big like character note, like where they're all
Oh.
sitting around talking to each other about like, well, hey, it's summer, we're gonna have a Luddite summer, we're gonna go to Death Valley with no phones and get abducted by aliens and impregnated. But what did you do while you were at school? Oh, I was fucking my teacher, and he's convincing me to be a Luddite. It's really, really strange. What about you? Oh, I met this really great guy, I'm in love with him, but we can't have sex. And then they cut to Neil McDonough giving his best fucking work as Ike Eisenhower talking to aliens, and it works. I don't know. That's all I have to say about American Horror Story. It's batshit insane as per usual, but for once
Okay.
it was in my wheelhouse, and it just timed well with my podcast consumption.
What is that even on now? Like it's ninth or 10th season or what?
Yeah, I think this is almost like season 11, like
Oh my God.
11.5 technically. Yeah,
Jeez.
because it went off the rails. When Trump got elected, it went off the rails. But a lot of shit like that did.
Yeah.
But what can you tell me about Wonder Woman Historia?
Yeah, so this is just wanted to mention this in our kind of non-movies, non-TVs segment. So this is a comic that has been coming out for about 10 years.
Really?
And yeah, it's been in the works for so long. And if you while I'm talking here, if you want to pull up some art, that's kind of the main thrust of it, because
this is Kelly
this is
Sudaconic writing it.
yeah, this is Kelly Sudaconic and then Phil Jimenez on the art on the first issue. And that's why it took 10 years. But this is definitely worth the wait. This is one of the best comics I have ever read, probably.
Fuck
and
yeah, dude.
it is, the art is absolutely insane. Like it is so good. And I think Kelly Sudaconic is pretty hit or miss. She can be a good writer, but she's very unlikable because she puts her foot in her mouth a lot when she speaks at public events, as far as her like politics and kind of alienating certain fans and stuff like that. But this is very good. And this tells the story of the origin of the Amazons when they were created by the Greek gods. And
okay.
it also tells the kind of how Hippolyta, Wonder Woman's mother, came to power, basically. And yeah, it's so great. It's seriously one of the best comics ever in the past decade.
I just want to, yeah, I'm gonna have to, because you know what we fucking forgot to do at the top of the show? I think we forgot to do our New Year's resolutions.
We did, yeah. I was gonna mention it at the end. We can save it for the end when we before we do the parting question for next week.
I'll just say, like, one of mine is is making a point to get back into reading comics again. And I think this is where I'm gonna have to start.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And then this is going to be a 3-issue series. It's part of the DC Black Label, so they're the oversized magazine books. And issue number 2, which I think is coming out in March, is the artist is going to be Gene Ha, who is another pretty big comic artist. And then issue number 3, the artist is going to be Nicola Scott, who is another incredible artist. So that's I'm sure they're both going to be great, and they're probably going to get delayed to hell, but it'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it. Yeah. Indeed. Goddamn. This image in particular has grabbed me. All the detail.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like even the way that like the furs look, it's quite something else. My goodness. Well, coming up here next, I'm just gonna click around quickly. Things at some full screen here. get my bearings. All right,
Yeah.
yeah, we're coming up now on the main topic for the show, which is our most anticipated movies and TV series is for the year 2022. And the looking through the list of it all, it was surprising how little I was aware of. Like, it was kind of like I haven't seen a lot of trailers for things that you really weren't like mega franchise related.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of neat to take a peek and be like, okay, I need to keep my eye on that particular date. Bear with me here. I'm just going to pull up the appropriate graphic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll while you're doing that, I'll say kind of a good preface to say before this is I kind of abided by a couple guidelines when I made mine. As far as the movies went, I tried to stay away from like big blockbusters. Like, I didn't want my list to be like Batman, Mission Impossible, Superman, Shazam, whatever. And then for the TV shows, I tried to kind of steer clear of stuff that's known quantities. So like, I don't want to do like season 10 of whatever show or season 5 of whatever show, stick to stuff that was new. So I don't know if you did the same, but
I tried to stick to the same standard. Yeah, because otherwise I wouldn't have considered like some of the things I put on there. Like, most of mine are serious, but one is definitely a little tongue in cheek because I there's nothing to know about it. I just know it's coming out in 2022.
Okay, yeah.
I did kind of slip into that a little bit, I will confess. All right, so I'm just pulling up what we need to pull up here. So we're going to start with TV shows, and we are both looking forward to this one, so I'm just going to lead off with it.
Mm-hmm.
But Severance. What an interesting little premise. Yeah. What a bizarre looking little show. This is going to be on Apple TV Plus, I believe, correct?
Yep, that's correct. And it's pretty soon. I think it's February 18th is the premiere.
And the gist is these people are all getting a job where they're going to go into a void space where like their mind is wiped like whenever they leave, so they don't remember what they do in there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is coming courtesy of Ben Stiller, who was a pretty capable, TV, limited series director. The Danamora was a pretty good show. Did you check that out?
That was. Yeah, that show was really good.
Really good. And this looks star-studded. Oh my god. It's got everybody's in this fucking thing. Oh my god. But what appeals to about it the most to you? Like, what are you looking forward to seeing happen in this thing?
Yeah, so I think it just looks interesting to me because just the whole vibe of it kind of seems like, I don't know, like being John Malkovich mixed with like Devs, like the Hulu show Devs, like where it's just got this very like sort of dated technology feel to it, with all the I don't know if you saw like the computers in the trailer, but everything seems very like utilitarian as far as like the architecture and like the props and stuff like that go. I like the look of it. And it's an interesting premise because from what I understand, it's basically they keep their social lives and their work lives like separate by like erasing their memories like every time or something like that. And
of course that system breaks down and these people know that they work together and they don't know what their life is on the inside. And that it's a very interesting premise, and that's what's really grabbed me. But the definitely has that kind of neo-retro sort of sensibility as far as the design goes. And it's like if Devs was written by Charlie Kaufman instead of Alex Garland. That is the vibe.
Yeah.
And let's just jump right into your next one, like your next most anticipated, which we have no trailer for, keep in mind. So I'm just going to play what I'm assuming it's based on, which is the film Dead Ringers. Amazon Prime is doing like a remake movie, or is this a TV show?
This is a TV show, but it is based on the David Cronenberg film, Dead Ringers.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, this sounds wild. I mean, there's nothing. This is one of those ones where there's nothing really about it yet, other than who's involved. And the main character is played by Rachel Weisz, and she's actually going to be playing both the main characters. She's going to be doing double duty as the twins.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Oh my god. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. And then I also was doing a little bit more digging into it, and the episodes of the show are going to be directed by Karen Kusama and Sean Durkin.
Oh, so, both of them are good. I know I've seen his name over something recently. That Durkin name.
The Nest. He's the guy who did The Nest.
Okay.
That Jude Law movie from a couple years ago.
God damn. Well, this is exciting.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
So that's really all there is though right now. But I mean, that alone I guess that's going to be a trend with a couple more of my picks, is that some of these shows there's not really a whole lot about, but just who's involved is enough to get you excited.
See, and my next one is another Amazon show that we have no footage of, but we just know is coming. And they claim it's coming out in 2022, but their Lord of the Rings show, I'm gonna have to watch it, no matter what I might fear about it, or like whatever they might put out in the press about it. I am gonna watch this because it's been like 20 years to the day since I first saw Fellowship of the Ring at the theater in the mall in Dickinson, North Dakota, and it's still gonna get me, even though The Hobbit sucked. But yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to it, actually, even though I'm ready to be disappointed.
Yeah, I think it's definitely up in the air, and I think the one thing that I can say about it right now that I'm glad they're doing is that they're distancing it from anything having to do with the Lord of the Rings trilogy or the Hobbit trilogy, where almost none of those characters should show up, other than obviously the ones that are like immortal, like Galadriel, I think is supposed to be in it, but
it's not going to be played by Cate Blanchett, though.
It's not. You're right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because they're going completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this next one I'm having trouble finding a video for. But
there isn't
any. Is this related to Guillermo del Toro?
Yes, it is. So
okay.
This is called The Cabinet of Curiosities, and Guillermo del Toro is working on this for Netflix. And this is another one. We don't know much, but what we do know is that it is going to be a horror anthology.
Okay.
And it is going to be the episodes are going to be directed by different directors, and I just have to read them here because this list is nuts. So people directing episodes include Anna Lily Amapur, Panos Cosmatos,
holy fuck,
Jennifer Kent, who did the Babadook,
yes, holy shit,
Vincenzo Natali,
no fucking shit.
Guillermo Navarro, who is
he's a cinematographer, right?
Yep, cinematographer for Guillermo del Toro. David Pryor, the guy who did The Empty Man.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I don't know this last name, Keith Thomas. Oh, the director of The Vigil. I don't know if you saw The Vigil from last year.
I did not see that one.
He's a very capable horror director, though. But
yeah, and then holy shit,
yeah, it's pretty nuts. And then we got Guillermo del Toro has a screenwriting credit on all the episodes, which is probably a good thing. And then 2 of the episodes are actually going to be based on H.P. Lovecraft stories.
Fuck yes.
So
because he needs to build the foundation so that he can finally give us his At the Mountains of Madness.
Mhm.
whatever that was going to be. I love that screenplay. It's one of my favorite unproduced screenplays. So anytime he does something Lovecraftian, I'm gonna be there. But that is in it, like they didn't have to go that hard, man.
Yeah.
They did not have to get all those people in that thing. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
It sounds like it's going to be cool. And from what I've heard, rumor is that it's going to be fall 2022.
okay, I can wait that long.
Yeah.
It'll be appropriate. My next one is a little more trashy, I'll admit, but I am a whore for these like Hulu like 90s like the pseudo biopic, like true story based on true story things. Like especially like the OJ Simpson show is an example of that. Like the Brad Falchuk, whatever that other guy's name is, the American Horror Story people doing like American Crime Story.
Ryan Murphy.
Ryan Murphy, yeah. This is I don't know if they have anything to do with this, but it has their sensibilities all over it. But it's the story of how everyone got to see their first amateur celebrity sex tape, the Pam and Tommy tape. It's the story of how that happened. From the director of I, Tonya. It's got an amazing cast. And it just looks like a greasy, gross, great time. And I can't wait to see this thing. It looks like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll definitely watch
Nick Offerman and God, what's his fucking name? I've blacked out
Seth
Rogen. I've blacked him out because this is something he actually looks like suited to. And this just looks like a good time. That's all I have to say.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
For sure. All right, I'll hot swap it. What was your
so my last one here is kind of a obvious one, but I still wanted to mention it. Obi-Wan Kenobi. That is going to be, assume, Obi-Wan probably late this year, very, very late this year. Probably December would be my guess. But yeah, I mean, this is from the same team that's been doing the only good Star Wars stuff for the past like 5 or 6 years. So I'm very, very excited.
I'm more skeptical. I don't know. I just worry about our friend, what's his name? Who's playing Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Ewan McGregor.
I just worry that it's just gonna take us back to the prequel movies. You know what I mean? Like, it's just gonna be hard to, like, even though it will be refreshing if they ground him in the way that the Mandalorian and Boba Fett have been. It could be something really special. I just worry that it won't be.
Yeah. It'll be interesting because I mean I'm really looking forward to it because I think they're gonna keep it grounded. They're gonna, obviously he'll probably be on Tatooine.
Yeah.
And I would guess, once in 5 weeks from now when Boba Fett wraps up, we're gonna get some sort of tease, would be my guess.
And the question is are we gonna see Vader in this thing?
Yeah, we are, because Hayden Christensen's in it.
Oh yeah, baby! Oh fuck. Okay, so this is the real potential of Disney taking the reins on this thing, because I got into a light debate with some friends of ours who visited, and where they loudly pronounced how much they loved The Last Jedi, and I just instantly just turned beet red, just trying to hold back all the things I could have said, but. Yeah, I have some hope. I just hope that it doesn't suck. I just don't want it to suck. Then I'll really fucking love it if it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, one thing I can tell you about it. So I was digging into the credits for the show, and I can tell you it'll look good because one thing I did discover was that the cinematographer for all 6 episodes is Chung Hoon Chung, the cinematographer for Park Chan-wook.
Holy fucking shit, dude!
Yeah,
like
so that cool.
How do you snap that guy up to do fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah.
God damn, that's fucking rad though. But
Yeah.
all the best talent, man, all the best talent is just going to streaming.
Hmm.
But uh, my, I guess I'll have to correct you. You do have one more, but we'll circle back to it.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my next one, I don't think there's any footage of it available, but it's HBO and BBC are bringing us another adaptation of Brideshead Revisited,
Oh, yeah, I
which
saw
is
this.
which is another Jeremy Irons original that is, from the same time period as Dead Ringers, actually, as far as production goes. But it's just this kind of upstairs downstairs, British high society story, but
Okay.
it has great characters. At least I remember the original one being really good. And this cast seems pretty star-studded as well, but we shall see, if it's stuffy and unnecessary or if it's something special. But when I saw it on there, I got a little excited because it's at least some interesting material. It's not quite, as boring and retread as like Downton Abbey is. Like this is better than Downton Abbey. At least the source material is better than Downton Abbey.
Hmm.
And it has like some meaningful journeys for the characters to go on, and the ending isn't very satisfying and is somewhat ambiguous, and it still works for me, and hopefully they stick to that at any rate.
Hmm.
But you also threw up one that I have to confess something. I never finished Dark, but the fact that that same crew have a new show, I'm excited. Like, what do we
Yeah.
know about 1899 coming to us from Netflix?
Yeah, so that's the main reason why I put it on mine, is because I loved Dark, and that show it's so big brained sci-fi, like it's very very confusing, like super high level sci-fi, and that's kind of what makes me excited for this. And the pitch for this is immigrants traveling from the old continent to the new encounter a nightmarish riddle aboard a second ship adrift on the open sea. So it's basically these immigrants, I assume, going to America or somewhere, and they come across a drift ship, and then shit goes down, I assume.
Yeah, so it's a maritime horror, high concept thriller. It could be about almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, fucking down like a clown for this thing. Now that I know it exists, really fucking excited for it. It seems very spooky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be good, and hopefully sooner rather than later, because there is a teaser for it. So I'm hoping like at least this summer, maybe.
My last one is coming to us from HBO. I don't have anything to show for it yet. Don't even have a release date. But it's Ansel Elgort being some kind of a journalist in Tokyo, taking on Ken Watanabe as a Yakuza boss. But it's called Tokyo Vice, and it just sounds ridiculous. And like with the kind of, if it's some kind of Euphoria level show, maybe it could be really corny fun, but that's really all I know about it. But it sounded kind of different, actually.
Okay. Who's like the creator or the
Oh god, I didn't get that information. Let me see what I can
find.
find.
Destin Daniel Cretton, the guy who did Short Term 12.
Oh yeah, so that's kind of weird. And I guess it is based on a book. It's about being a police reporter in Japan as an American.
Okay.
And Riko Kikuchi is in it. And then Hideki Ito. But yeah, Destin Daniel Cretton. Even Ansel Elgort gets a producer's credit.
Looks like the pilot is directed by Michael Mann.
Yeah, Michael. I just saw Michael's Mann. So we know that this is going to have a certain visual look, because the last show that Michael Mann worked on was that horse racing show with what's his face, with David Milch, Luck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the last time I remember seeing his name attached to a TV product. So
Okay.
this is probably going to be very, very much like Collateral. Lots of handheld, digital, lots of GoPro shit. So yeah, it just seemed kind of different, and yeah, it's going to be on HBO Max.
Okay. Yeah, sounds cool.
And now moving on
Then
to I guess that was the end of it for
that was
series.
the end, yeah.
Yeah. So now we're moving on to films, and I guess I'll kick us off with this one. On April 22nd, we're going to be getting The Northman, and I've been waiting on this fucking guy Robert Eggers to make this movie when it was called The Night initially. At least unless this is a totally unique script to whatever The Night was going to be. But after The Witch was one of the most profound cinematic experiences I ever had, if I'm going to be really pretentious about it. I had a panic attack in the theater afterward, like in the parking lot of the theater afterwards.
Oh, really?
But this looks very much like a very, it's Hamlet. I guess was how it was articulated to me, even by you, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I hadn't realized that. But that's basically what this movie's going to be. But it's star-studded. It looks like it has way too much money going towards it than Robert Eggers has ever had in his life. And it's just been a long time coming. And he just hasn't been corrupted by the system yet. The tendrils haven't gotten to him. And I just hope that this hits the mark and is appropriately brutal and unforgiving and gives us something new in the Viking man returns home to kill everybody story.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really looking forward to this. And like I said, I think was it last week I think we talked about it. I think this is going to be sort of Robert Eggers' big like coming out party where he's going to go from like the dramatic horror guy to like the big budget auteur with this movie.
Yeah, like he's not going to be like Chris Nolan, but he's definitely going to be he's Ridley Scott level visual strength. Like this looks like Ridley Scott wishes that the Last Duel looked like this, and I know that the Last Duel has its virtues. I just haven't had a chance to see it yet. But holy fuck, like this movie goes fucking hard, and we only have like 2 minutes of footage to go off of. Mm-hmm. It looks like it's going to be quite something else.
Yeah.
And your first film of, you're probably going to get to see it a little sooner rather than later, but we got Scream 2022 coming at us, and this is your big boy that you want to you want to see more than most things.
Yeah. So well, I'm excited for this because I think Scream is a series that has surprisingly held up very well throughout the years. And the third one is the only one that's sort of bad, but all the other ones they range from watchable to actually like really, really great. And Scream has been able to sort of, because they've always had a hint of comedy and a hint of satire to them.
Indeed.
And every single one of the Scream movies has been able to adapt itself to the culture of the now whenever it's come out. And, that goes for the fourth one that was released. I think it's been a while now. I think it was 7 years ago at this point. So that one was
Scream 4 was weird.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. And I think, all of them have been pretty successful other than 3. And this one, the reason why I'm excited for it is because they've got the directors on it they're a duo that go by the name Radio Silence. Are you familiar with these guys?
Directed by Radio Silence? Is that what the credit really says?
Yeah, that's their like directing name because it's 2 guys.
So some producer was like, okay, whoever owns the rights to Scream, we're gonna get Radio Silence to direct it, and they were just like, yes, go take them.
Yeah, pretty much.
What the fuck? It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the guys who did I don't know, from a couple years ago. Do you remember Ready or Not?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I do.
they did that, and then they also did the before that they only did anthology movies, and they had a segment in Southbound and then a segment in VHS.
Okay, so yeah,
So
these they're known quantities, like,
yeah.
to be sure.
Mhm.
Exciting. Okay, well, I'm a lot more interested in this now than I was then. You know, like when I saw it on there, it was just like, really? Because every time I saw the trailers in the theater, I don't know. I like the first one. That's the only one I've really given all of my time to. And I
Okay.
guess I have seen four, but I haven't seen the ones in the middle, unfortunately.
Yeah, two's good, but three goes a little too meta. Three is the one where they make the movie and they have all of the actors. They have real life celebrities playing the
Themselves.
celebrities in the movie.
Yeah,
It's very
okay.
strange.
Very bizarre. Speaking of bizarre, though, my next most anticipated film is the latest in the renaissance of Nicolas Cage, where he finally goes all the way and just plays himself, or how some writer and director have had him interpret himself. Because it's a gimmicky sort of premise. This is a Blacklist script that finally got its day, basically, and I listened to a pretty interesting interview he gave where he was just kind of talking about what it was like being told to not be himself, to play himself. Because he's like, I'm a really chill guy, man. Like, I'm just zen, but then, like, the director's like, I need you to be more neurotic. That's Pete Cage. And I'm like, it's really not. Like, you're seeing Pete Cage right now. Cause and it just made me a little skeptical that we're going to get something worthwhile, to a point. But I really want to see what he does with it. Because he's been on a tear. This hasn't been just about paying off the tax man. He's made some really good choices with the films he's made. And I just hope that this wasn't just made because he needed $5 million or something like that.
Who's the director on this? Do you know?
No idea. I've not
Okay.
done my homework. I
Wonder.
apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
No idea. I feel so bad every time you ask me these questions because my brain just doesn't have the room for all of that information. The unbearable weight of massive talent. Bada bing. Tom Gormican, who's also one of the writers on this with someone named Kevin Etten, who used to be a writer for the Late Show with David Letterman. And then
Okay.
he did a lot of work on like Reaper, Workaholic, Scrubs, and Desperate Housewives is what I'm seeing for credits.
Okay.
It's
That
somehow
checks.
that checks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark Isham's doing the music.
Okay.
And yeah, it's going to be a weird little experience, but it really jumped out as the kind of gimmick movie that I always give myself every year.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'll let myself be excited for this one. And what was your next film that you were going to look forward to
Yeah.
more than the others?
So my next one is the Michael Bay vehicle Ambulance, and this comes out April 8th, and so not too long now. And the reason why I chose this one is because I think Michael Bay can be a good director when he's not working on other people's IP. Um,
When he's free
and
to just be his crazy zany self.
Yeah, and I really liked Pain and Gain. Like, I'm one of the Pain and Gain apologists. I thought it's the only movie The Rock's ever done that he's actually played a character that's not himself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, no, he was a complete psycho in that thing.
yeah, and I don't know. I have a good feeling about this. I think this is gonna be, if I had to like put money on it right now, I would say this is gonna be that movie that comes out and everyone's gonna be like, oh fucking Michael Bay, but then it comes out and everyone's gonna be like, oh, you know what? That actually wasn't that bad. That was actually pretty good. That type of thing. And this is actually based on a Norwegian movie from 2003.
So it's another Jake Gyllenhaal getting plugged into an American adaptation of a Nordic thriller
Yep.
What is up with this? It's a trend.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a certain like cynicalness to Michael Bay's non-Transformers movies that I really like. You can tell that he really, really hates humanity, and so I'm looking forward to it.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, this was another one that I wasn't quite clued into, but it looks like a turn off your brain kind of have fun. Like this man did not learn a damn thing from Heat. That's going to be the takeaway.
Yeah.
God knows what this thing's going to be, but that's half the fun. All right. And my next one, we know nothing about except for a movie poster, I believe. Unless they've released a trailer for it, but I don't believe they have. But Nope, coming to us from Jordan Peele. Maybe we do have a trailer. I guess I don't know. I don't think
No,
so.
there isn't. There's just that poster of like the cloud.
Yeah.
I don't know if you.
Yeah, it's like I just like the title. It's just such a like a nope. It's just like whatever is gonna happen to the characters in this thing, they're just done with it. And I just think that is a funny sort of like way to just put your movie out there. Mm-hmm. I liked Us a lot more than Get Out. I thought its premise was creepier, if a little bit half-baked. It was a little bit of a Twilight Zone episode. Not that his version of the Twilight Zone was any damn good, but at least to me anyway. But
it wasn't,
but at the same time, I recognize that the guy is good at what he can do, and I do hope that this is something as worthy. I want him to step up his game, much like I wanted Robert Eggers to step up his game, and I just don't want him making an easy film. I want something hard from him, basically. So I'm excited for this, but I might just be setting myself up for disappointment, if you know what I mean. But yeah, Nope, whatever Nope is gonna be. And what was your fourth most anticipated that you were looking for? Or I guess third, not fourth.
Third. So this, my next one is called The Black Phone, and this is coming out in June 24th, and it was actually just bumped to that date from February, I believe. Or even, it might have even been late January. And so that bodes well to me, because that means that they took it out of the shitty time of year and they put it in the summer, which usually bodes well. So
when it'll actually be seen.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a adaptation of a Joe Hill short story. Stephen King's son, who is also a very prolific writer, who I've read multiple of his books, and I think he's pretty good. But this is directed by Scott Derrickson, director of Doctor Strange and Sinister, and penned by C. Robert Cargill, also the writer of Sinister, who, I don't know if you know this, but C. Robert Cargill used to be a movie reviewer on Ain't It Cool News, and his handle was Massaworm.
No shit!
Yeah.
No, what the fuck? I haven't thought of Massaworm in like at least 6 years.
Yeah, Sinister was his first movie. He just had the script lying around, because I mean, I'm sure he probably wrote scripts like in his off time. And
which one is Sinister? That's the one with Ethan Hawke?
Yep, that's the one with Ethan Hawke, where he watches like the old like home movies.
Is that Gabool? Is that the one with Gabool?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I understand why those movies are the way they are. Oh my god, everything makes so much sense to me now.
But yeah, so same writer, or I guess he adapted the short story, but this looks so interesting, and it is an interesting short story because it's about this kid who gets abducted by a serial child murderer, and in the little like basement room that he has him in, there's a phone that's disconnected from any sort of phone line, and the kid starts getting phantom phone calls on it from the previous victims of this guy.
All the other dead kids.
Yeah,
and it kind of has the vibe of like it's similar to like playing a video game and having another run at it. It's like Dark Souls, you know, in that respect, where it's like, okay, this is as far as I got, and this is how I did it. That's kind of what the premise is. No, it definitely looks interesting. It's been put in front of me so frequently. I expected this movie to already be out. Now I understand. Like now I didn't realize that it had gotten bumped.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Well, definitely, I'm looking forward to that one as well, just because it's been pitched to me so many times. The premise is burned into my brain, and I might as well see the damn thing. My next one I have nothing. This is my joke one, but it's semi-serious. Okay. I have a love-hate relationship with David O. Russell. His movies are just comfortable, even though they're like at times insufferable. But we have an untitled David O. Russell project coming out on November 4th. We have a release date. We don't have a title. We don't have a premise. We don't know anything about it, but we have a release date. Unless you know something, like I couldn't find out anything. Okay, what can you tell me?
This is on my list too.
Oh, it is?
This also goes by Canterbury Glass.
That's fucking funny to me. You have the title and I don't.
Yeah. This is it is untitled, but that's the name that everyone's given it because it must have something to do with the script or something. But the only sentence that anyone knows about this is a doctor and a lawyer form an unlikely partnership.
Dude.
That's the sentence.
That could be almost anything. Fuck yeah, that's funny.
And then I was actually digging a little bit about this because I wanted to know who was involved, and a couple of things that stood out to me were the cinematographers. Emmanuel Lubezki.
Hell yeah, dude. Haven't seen him in a bit.
Yeah.
Mr. Three in a row, that fucking bastard.
Yeah. And then, the cast is like absolutely... Did you look at the cast at all?
I did not.
Oh my God. It's like... So you got Anya Taylor-Joy, Margot Robbie, Christian Bale, Rami Malek, Zoe Saldana, Robert De Niro, Timothy Oliphant, Michael Shannon, Andrea Riseborough, Mike Myers, John David Washington, Taylor Swift, Chris Rock.
There have never been more beautiful and ugly people in a movie together.
Yeah.
There's some it's ridiculous. Like, what? Like, what are they trying to do? What is happening in this movie? Okay. Well, it's really funny to me that I just saw it on a list of like things that hadn't been out yet or like was going to be coming out, and I was like, we don't have a title. All right, I guess I didn't dig much deeper than that because it gave me nothing. But that's really fucking funny. Okay, yeah. What was your other than Canterbury Glass? What was your last one?
Yeah, so. This one's called Don't Worry, Darling. And I don't know if you'll be able to find it, but I believe there's a very small, like 30-second teaser out for this. This comes out in September of this year. And this is going to be the second movie from Olivia Wilde, actor and director Olivia Wilde. And this to me looks like, I liked Booksmart, her first movie, but I thought it was a little slight. It was fine. And this to me is going to kind of be her like proving ground movie where we're going to find out if she can, really do something. And so that's kind of why I'm excited for it. The log line for this is a 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community begins to worry that his glamorous company may be hiding disturbing secrets. So
fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. I hope she pulls it off, because the little snippet that we saw there, it was just like, this is Olivia Wilde's drive. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
just a lot going on there. But
yeah, it sounds
really
cool.
That sounds really cool.
The and then the last little bit I found out about it. The cinematographer is Matthew Lebetique for this movie, who's the Darren Aronofsky's go-to guy. He's done pretty much all of Darren Aronofsky's movies other than Pi. So
yeah, he is kind of the go-to. Golly. I'm happy to hear so many of these cinematographers working again. I've lost track of a lot of them.
Yeah.
And especially Lubezki, Lebetique. Yeah, it's like it's 2009 again. I guess I don't know a heck of a lot about this movie beyond the log line, and I know nothing about the director, but it's a movie starring David Harbour. It's a Christmas movie. A Christmas thriller. It's called Violent Night, and it's directed by Tommy Wirkola, who did What Happened to Monday and like the Dead Snow movies.
Okay, yeah.
The premise of this, golly, the article I read, it basically was just like a bunch of different people run into like a bunch of crazy shit like around Christmas is basically what I'm assuming happens, but it's like they all kind of get roped into some kind of happening, whatever it might be. But the title kind of grabbed me, and yeah, Wirkola, doesn't really make really arty fare, but the like Pat Casey and Josh Miller are names that I know that I've come across before. Like in Sonic the Hedgehog, and yeah, okay, now I'm realizing where I came across them. So this is a script that the Sonic the Hedgehog guys gave us, and oh my god, yeah. But that's what I know about Violent Night. But I love Christmas movies, and if we can finally have one to dethrone Die Hard, it will be a good thing.
Yeah, it's at very least it sounds fun.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And I'll let the trailers come out, throughout the year to really rope me in one way or another. But based on the spit take from what I could see on the horizon, yeah, like that was what I was into. I'm still tickled pink that my untitled David O. Russell project was one of the things you picked out. But that kind of brings us to the end of that particular sequence where I'll just throw up the larger list if I can find it in my collection here. There we go. Yeah, Matt's movies were, of course, Scream, Ambulance, The Black Phone, Darling, Canterbury Glass. Yeah, your series is Severance, Dead Ringers, Cabinet of Curiosities, 1899, Obi-Wan Kenobi. My movies, The Northman, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, Nope, The Canterbury Glass, and Violent Night. And to wrap it all up, I also am pretty jacked for Severance, Lord of the Rings, Pam and Tommy, Brideshead Revisited, and Tokyo Vice. And looking ahead to next week, what do we have happening?
Yeah, so the aforementioned Scream will be releasing in theaters. And then we've got a couple of Netflix releases that sound interesting. Wow. A series called Archive 81.
What the heck is that? Like, I hadn't seen anything about it until...
Okay. This looks interesting. It's the premise is an archivist hired to restore a collection of tapes finds himself reconstructing the work of a filmmaker and her investigation into a dangerous cult.
Fuck yeah, dude! Oh, shit! It reminds me like a little bit of like The Conversation, a little bit of a lot of things, but that's a great log line. I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh,
and wow. This is I don't know the capacity they're involved. I think they were producers and then maybe directed one episode. Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, the guys who did Synchronic a couple years ago.
Synchronic was a fucking cool movie.
It
was a little uneven, but it was cool.
Yeah.
But
So that's
that's
very
got me
soon.
hooked. That's got
Yeah.
me hooked. Holy shit.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
Ooh.
then
I'm way too
the
excited about this. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. And then the second big Netflix release next week is, now this one sounds and looks so weird. It's called The House, and this is a stop motion miniseries.
Yeah, what the fuck? I think this looks utterly incomprehensible.
Yeah, and it says across different eras, a poor family, an anxious developer, and a fed up landlady become tied to the same mysterious house.
What the
So,
fuck?
yeah, this looks so weird.
This looks so
And
bizarre.
the only other thing, I mean, I was looking at kind of the credentials behind it, and the only thing that really jumped out at me was this is written by the woman who wrote the Steve McQueen movie Hunger.
Okay.
So it's very strange.
Were the people who did Anomalisa involved in the animation of this? It looks kind of reminiscent of that.
It does, yeah, it does. I don't know. I don't think so. I did. I mean, I looked up the creators. Their names flashed up on screen there a couple seconds ago, but and they haven't really done a whole lot. So
it's really disconcerting.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It's very strange. Well, goddamn. God,
Yeah.
you really know how to pick them. This one really put me out of my comfort zone. And then of course, Peacemaker.
Yeah, the big release, and people are probably pretty familiar with this. The spinoff to James Gunn's Suicide Squad. And then this is actually going to be the show that we're going to review next week for our big review, just so people are aware. And yeah, this looks at the very least, it looks really fun. And
because HBO Max's superhero shows have been able to do that. They've been able to be somewhat edgy and reliable and a good time. Like Doom Patrol is pretty fun.
Yeah, oh yeah, that show's pretty good. And the thing that has me excited is, usually when you have like these spin-offs, the people who did the original aren't involved. And the nice thing about this is James Gunn is directing all the episodes.
Really?
So,
that is shocking. Yeah. So like this is his show.
This is his show. He's not just like passing it off to some like shitty TV directors. Good. This is all his show.
And good for Warner Brothers and HBO for just being that committed.
Yeah,
because they've had a commitment problem. If there's anything that they've fucked up, like with with everything that they've done with DC properties, it's that they just haven't been they haven't been committed to giving the right people the right amount of reign. And letting James Gunn just be his fucking self with like this little pocket universe he's created, more power to him. They might as well fucking do it. They have nothing else better going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this looks like a lot of fun.
Why is there a bald eagle? Is that a comic book character, or is it just?
I don't think so. I think it's a in his mind sort of thing.
Oh, okay. My God. Okay, it's a batshit insanity. Delivered. Directly from the man himself. Oh my God, that will be a good time. And when does that come out exactly?
I believe I want to say Wednesday
on the 13th. So, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I'll have plenty of time to watch it. Excuse me.
But yeah, and then because we didn't get to it at the beginning of the episode, why don't we cover our sort of parting question from last week?
So my New Year's resolution, as far as like my consumption and intention behind my watching and reading is concerned, I'm gonna make a point of not watching movies that I've already seen. Unless it's like a very rare thing. I want to avoid comfort films and comfort shows, and make a point of watching things that are new, and sticking to them and finishing them, and maybe even picking up some old shows that I never finished, like Mr. Robot, and things like that. I guess if I have any New Year's resolutions, it's going to be, watching new shit and avoiding the shit that just makes me feel comfortable and happy. I want to challenge myself a little bit. And of course, like I mentioned, commit myself to reading like one run of a comic like every week, and just not overburdening myself with being a completionist, but just getting back on the horse of reading comics again.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be, if you do that, that'll be really, really cool to get your thoughts on some stuff on the podcast.
Some recommendations would be appreciated. Yeah, like, so if you could steer me in the right direction on a couple things. I'll start with Historia, I guess, that first issue of Historia, just because it looked, it's been coming out or just been, previewed for 10 years.
It's been the first issue has literally been 10 years in the making, and so it's out now. And then the second issue 2 is coming out, I think, in March, and then issue 3 in a couple months after that. But yeah, so is that all you had for yours?
That was all I had for mine. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got 2 of them, and my first one is I want to be better about, especially now that we've started this podcast, I want to be better about logging the movies that I watch.
Yeah, that's probably a good. Yeah, that's something I kind of intended to do too, just implicitly. I'm gonna kind of switch the screen up a little bit.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, that's probably a good idea. Yeah,
yeah, because when I got to the end of the year, a couple weeks ago when we were doing our end of the year episode, I kind of got to the end of the year and I was like, fuck, what did I watch this year? And it was kind of hard. I mean, there was some stuff that really stood out, but then I wanted to kind of just have a whole list in front of me. And I've kind of taken it upon myself now. And I've already started this, where when I sit down to watch something, or if I'm about to walk into a movie in a theater, all I do is I just open up the notes on my phone and just type the name of the movie that I'm about to watch, and that's it. It takes literally like 5 seconds.
Just log it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Right on, dude. And what was the other one?
Yeah. So then the other one was, I want to be better about watching foreign films from countries that we don't usually see foreign films from, that don't have like a thriving film industry. So, like not like France, the UK, Korea, Japan, like Spain, Mexico, those are kind of like the big like foreign film countries. And I want to be better about seeing foreign films from countries where we don't usually see foreign films out of, because there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of stuff that gets nominated for like awards and stuff where it's like, this year, Bosnia got nominated, for a foreign language film, or like, Turkey, or, like Thailand, like, so I want to be better about, seeking out films from other countries that aren't normally big production countries,
Yeah, and like Nollywood is also pretty exciting if you like really weird fringe, shit. But yeah, like Africa's got some good stuff, for sure. And like, yeah, that's a worthwhile goal, I would say, and one we all should probably aspire to, just because there is such a vast breadth of stuff that doesn't get a lot of exposure, but you might as well just try and find it, because it's there. Yeah, it's always going to be waiting there.
Yeah, for sure.
There was a guy that was a part of the Nostalgia Critics' little sphere of influence called Brows Held High, and he did a really good job of highlighting some really obscure shit that I would have never found out about, and we're coming from places I would have never expected. So I might dig in there to remember what some of his recommendations were, because there was some really out there stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I'll have to look into that. Is that a current thing, or is that something that stopped a long time ago?
I believe he migrated to YouTube, but I haven't kept up with him.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
they had
Okay.
a yeah. There's a great like dramatic story behind the downfall of
A
something
giant falling out.
of Channel Awesome, but that's a story for another time, children.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
sorry, you're right.
So
Well, not,
yeah. So
the
I want
next
to.
parting question.
Yeah. So for next week, and I cover this one. The question is, what is a defunct film studio or production company that you wish was still around?
And this is a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why I won't say what it is, but I was inspired by watching the film Hellraiser this week. Um, and there is a production company that comes up before that movie. And I was like, oh, I wonder what these guys have been up to. And so that's where I'm going to leave it.
Okay, right
And
on.
I'll tell you next week. But
Yeah, because as soon as I saw this in the outline, I was like, I know exactly what I'm gonna say. You like it?
okay.
I like this is something I've thought about quite a bit, especially like because like there was a lot of like zombie necromancy happening with certain brands as far as
Mhm.
production companies go, and there's some names popping up on new shit that I was like, wait a minute, they're alive, they're back. So like it kind of has happened here or there, but yeah, this is a fun thing to think about, and we'll
Yeah,
look forward to next week doing it.
for sure.
But sorry for jumping the gun on that. But
That's
yeah,
okay.
thanks for joining us tonight. We kept it as a lot briefer than last week, that's for sure. But we talking about shows and TV that we were looking forward. I mean movies and TV that we were looking forward to, and yeah, look forward to doing this again next week, man. You take care.
Yep. See ya. Thanks.
Have a good night, everybody.